Hey guys, I wanted to record a quick video response to something that an investor sent to me. This was news, I haven't really verified it, but it was talking, essentially speaking, about Dubai's future and the businesses that operate in Dubai. And obviously we know that Dubai is a microcosm of the entire global economy, right? So whatever is happening in the rest of the world, we're living in a globalized world. It's pretty much going to be taking place in Dubai. So if restaurants have been affected elsewhere, then restaurants been affected in Dubai. If tourism has been affected elsewhere, then tourism has been affected and might be affected further in Dubai. But I wanted to address two major points so that perhaps I could help somebody alleviate the worry and perhaps come up with a different way of thinking, right? There's two things that I want to say. One is going to be Dubai specific and the other is going to be life specific, okay? In my personal experience, regardless of what's happening, I understand what's happening, right? I personally think that the game is not investments. The game is not the stock market. The game is not real estate. The game is not making money. The game is actually life, understanding it, harnessing the fundamentals so that you can actually guide yourself and the people who are relying on you towards a better future in terms of monetarily, peace of mind, security, etc., etc. And why do I say that the game is life? Because there's been a lot of talk recently. I was listening to somebody on YouTube talk about this, and they said, look, there's trillions of dollars that are getting injected into the world economy, specifically in the US. And what this is going to do is just inevitably delay the foreclosures on the homes in the US. It's just going to delay the bankruptcies that are going to happen, so on and so forth. And I'm thinking, great, I get it, but you're still thinking 2 steps ahead. How about we think 10 steps ahead? And you don't need to be Nostradamus, or you don't have to have been very extremely well read to think 10 steps ahead. You just need to go back, in my personal opinion, and you're free to disagree. You just have to go back to the main essentials of what fundamentally our life is about. And the one principle that I'm going to go back to right now is that human beings, we've got this survival instinct. There's a basic fundamental rule. We all species are looking for survival, human beings, because we've got the mental capacity, our brain, that other species don't have. We're able to survive perhaps a little better. Now, if you take that and apply it to us and think 10 steps ahead, then what you're going to say to yourself is, look, the world's going to go through a little bit of a difficulty, fine. Maybe you won't go through difficulty. Maybe I won't face the same difficulty, right? I know people in the global financial crisis, their jobs were pretty much unaffected, right? My brother, bless him, I think his job was unaffected. He went on and did as well as anybody else. And there's others as well, right? So that could become essentially your reality. But now we're thinking, okay, let's think 10 steps ahead. When you start thinking 10 steps ahead, you're going to understand that we as humans are going to adapt to this new norm, okay? And when we adapt to this new norm, we're going to come up with better and new ways of doing business. The present way is going to become the old way, and the old ways are going to slowly die off. And the new ways that we're going to come up with will suit us just fine, and we'll do pretty okay. What do they say? Necessity is the mother of all invention. That's essentially, in my opinion, what's going to happen. 10 steps ahead, not 2 steps. Yeah, maybe the short term, people who've been accustomed to doing business in a certain way are going to feel the pain. But there's going to be others who are going to come and innovate. I want to give you 2 examples. They're not going to relate completely, but if I can borrow your mind to expand it a little bit and help you understand slightly different, then I'm going to give you 2 examples from the business environment, and I'm going to ask you to invite your brain to assess those and then apply them to how you see the world will change in a better way, right? Number one, if you remember the mobile phone by 2005, 2006, we've got about 30, 35 years of innovation built into the mobile phone. They've started becoming smaller, they're more cheaper, people can afford them. They're becoming more prevalent. But by 2005, 2006, the mobile phone, the way it was being utilized, was pretty much reaching its peak, right? You could make a call, you could send an SMS, your mobile phone probably has like a camera in it, and that's about it, right? You don't need to change it every year. There's no more computing power coming into it. Pretty much if you had a mobile phone before 2005, 1 year before, and if you bought one in 2006, they're pretty much the same. Perhaps the camera can take a few better pictures, like 1 or 2 megapixels, right? So we reached a plateau, right? You don't need to change your phone, you kind of just use it. And the predominant players were Nokia, if I remember, and I think there was Motorola and then Samsung, right? And here comes Apple, right? Steve Jobs, he completely rethinks the way a mobile phone should integrate with our life and what it does or it should do in terms of value that it brings to us, right? So he doesn't think 3 steps ahead, because if he was thinking 3 steps ahead, we would have still been the same kind of phone that we were using, right? The communicators, the Nokias, the analog phones. I don't know if you call them analog, but anyways, you get the point, right? He thought 10 steps ahead. And what it ended up doing was it absolutely changed our lives. We operate on a different level, we think differently, we communicate differently, we interact with each other differently. And the people of those times, like Nokia and Motorola, they pretty much died. Samsung had to reinvent themselves. And that's what's essentially going to happen to the world economy. People are going to reinvent themselves. So I don't pay a lot, like you might say, hey Fahd, you're being too optimistic. Sure, maybe I am, but I don't pay too much heed to, yes, there's going to be change, right? I'm not somebody who adapts to change super fast, but I'm going to have to, right? And so will you. So instead of thinking 2, 3, 4 steps ahead, think 10 steps ahead. Same thing happened with the movie theaters, right? There is streaming services coming, movies can be easily bought online, you know, essentially speaking, the whole movie theater environment or going to the movie theater should have died, right? Because why go and pay money for a movie that you could pretty much watch at home? The movie theaters reinvented about 15 years ago into this place where you don't go just to watch a movie. Yes, movie is a big component of it, but you actually go to become to escape from reality with your friends, enjoy the atmosphere, the experience, the food, you know, the popcorn's so big. I think they get you addicted to all the junk food that's there. But think about it, right? Here's the movie theaters about to die, and then they take off in an entirely new way with new 4D experiences, and your seats shake and everything happens. And that's great, right? Because they reinvented themselves and made themselves relevant. And that's what's going to happen with with your life, okay? Your children's school, businesses, and cities, right? So here's the deal. Businesses, restaurants. We know that restaurants have suffered, right? Essentially speaking, restaurants operate on 80 to 100% capacity during certain peak times, and that 50 to 60% capacity during off-peak times. And that's the way they build their profitability into the numbers, and that's how they know where they can afford to pay a lease, how much they can afford to pay their servers, their suppliers, how much they should be spending on their menus, so on and so forth. Okay, fine. Now, during the current situation, restaurants are going to go through a certain period of pain, right? But do you think that they're going to die and cease to exist? No. Those who don't innovate and adapt are going to be replaced by those who are going to be innovating and adapting. For instance, you might not be aware of this, but takeaway business has been doing 2 to 3 times the volume, okay? This is anecdotal evidence. I don't have a stat to give to you, but they've been doing well. So what does that tell you as somebody who might be in the market looking for opportunities? If you were about to start into the restaurant business, I would encourage you to still do it, but do it in a model or a format that adapts to the current situation and do it in a different way. Number one, you've got a lot of power to renegotiate the lease wherever you are if you're operating a restaurant. And there is going to be pain, because what's going to happen is real estate is a lagging asset, right? It comes behind. It doesn't react to the market instantly. So what's going to happen if you're a restaurant owner? The landlord's not going to renegotiate your lease immediately. You're going to go through a pain time. Maybe you look for someplace else which is cheaper, or your landlord's going to be so stubborn and he's going to let you go. And then his place is going to be empty much longer than he wants it to be, ideally speaking. And then he's going to bring his rent down. But imagine if you were a business owner, or if you were so passionate about starting a restaurant business, now would be a good time to start the restaurant business. Why? Because you go in, negotiate an extremely low lease. Like, I would say something as ridiculous as zero being paid on rent, but you pay the landlord maybe a 10% or a 20% of the money that you make in the first year or the second year or the 3 year, and then things can be renegotiated, right, afterwards. Perhaps you don't have a very large, or you don't look for a very large seating area, right? You look for a smaller seating area. Perhaps you calculate your profits based on how much you're going to operate at 50% capacity. Perhaps you negotiate with the sellers in the same way, so on and so forth. Look, it's going to happen. We as humans are going to go into a mode that allows us to survive for some, and then innovate for others, and we're going to move forward, and you're going to be attracting the kind of reality that you feel that your mind allows you to. So if you feel that things are going to be bad, then hey, you know what? That's going to become your reality. There's others who are going to take advantages of the present situation, think 10 steps ahead, and they're going to be in the game of life, looking for opportunities to grow personally, and then their money, right? Hit the subscribe button, press the bell icon. I really want to get this out there. Look, think 10 steps ahead. Help me think 10 steps ahead. If you've got ideas, put them in the comment section. If you want to work with me, please hit me up on WhatsApp. That's the best way for me to respond. If you want to ask me specifically general questions, like not specifically, but general questions, just ask me in the comment section or again on WhatsApp, and I'll answer on YouTube. Ciao for now. Talk to you soon.